Hi there. I decided to do something different. I was actually planning on doing a continuation of my favorite records of the decade, but somehow I just don't feel it anymore. I'm gonna do something totally different, and the title is up there. Kind of gives you an idea. It's similar to what other YouTube members have been doing. Big Star has his obscure classics, Derek's got his psychedelicatessen, and I think Mr. Farboy does on occasion a video where he highlights an album. And I'm just gonna do that. It feels more appropriate because I can show like 10 records and say, oh, this is nice, and nobody learns something from it or understands why I like that particular album. It is basically my love for post-punk that makes me want to do this, and before I actually start with the album I have to explain what post-punk really is, because a lot of people think post-punk is sort of a punk kind of music, but no. It's not. Post-punk is basically music that came after punk, that was influenced by the attitude and the energy of punk, not punk music per se. Bands that thought punk was the new thing in the world, they were influenced by it, but they discovered that everyone wanted to sound like that previous punk band, and nobody wanted diversity, nobody wanted to be an individual sounding band. So a lot of bands decided that they really love the attitude, but I mean, why can't you use that energy and mix it with jazz or funk or electronica or even, God forbid, prog? That is basically where the whole post-punk thing came from. It's highly original music that came out in the late 70s, early 80s, and took the energy of punk and the ideas of you can do it all yourself, and added to that their own quirky little, beloved genres. One of those bands is the TV Personalities. It's the one I'm going to talk about, and it's this album. It's their debut album from 1980, and oh my god, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. The iconic sleeve with the Avengers on it, and then the backside filled with scraps of 60s, like Syd Barrett, Pete Townsend, let's see who else are on there. Clockwork Orange is on there as well, an album sleeve of The Creation. This is post-punk, yet if you hear it, you don't really understand why it's called post-punk. The TV Personalities, they started out in 1978, and their first release was an album, Where's Bill Grundy Now?, that featured the classic punk song Part-Time Punks. It became a huge hit, and it basically got them signed to Rough Trade, who released this album in 1980. TV Personalities were hugely inspirational to the mid-80s C86 sound, and even the later mid-90s indie pop scene that flourished in the United States. As you can hear in the background, it's highly influenced by 60s music and the sounds that came out, the whole mod culture, the mod sound. But the TV Personalities, they're not a mod revival band like the Jam were. They basically took that sound, the idea of the 60s, and started referencing a lot of people. On this album, references are to Jeffrey Ingram, who I don't know much about, but it's a person that is from a book, I believe. It's on Wikipedia. I didn't check that Obviously, the most famous song of this album is I Know Where Syd Barrett Lives. Later on, they would do songs about Salvador Dali, in a song called Salvador Dali's Garden Party. One of his later albums would have a song called the Eminem Song. It's stuff like that. He loves to reference people and use fictional characters in those songs and just create a whole new world. The main guy behind the television personalities is Dan Treese. Dan Treese has been a rather tragic figure, being addicted to drugs in the late 90s. He got picked up for shoplifting and had to spend 6 years in jail on a prison boat. When he was released, a year later, he got a deal with Domino to release a new album. That album came out in 2006, and it was sort of the rebirth of the television personalities. The now clean and still focused Dan Treese hadn't lost his shtick and basically continued to write wonderful pop songs. Why is this a post-punk classic? Well, quite simple. It is released by the band themselves on Rough Trade, obviously, but they did everything themselves. The production is mentioned. The production is mentioned that it's Vic Hammersmith Broadway, but that guy does not exist. It is the guys from television personalities themselves who created that false name and put it as the producer. These guys did everything themselves: the artwork, the production, songwriting, and that is very much post-punk. And I'm going to keep it at this. I hope you guys enjoy this new series. I'm going to try, fingers crossed, to get a little samples at the back of this video. So I'll be doing this more often, and let me know what you think of it. Respond, and I'll be seeing you in the next episode. Peace.
There's a little man in a little house with a little pet dog and a little pet mouse. I know where he lives and I'll visit him. We have Sunday tea, sausages and beans. I know where he lives. Cause I know where Syd Barrett lives. Hear my father shouting at my mother in the room next door. He's always threatening to pack his bags cause he can't take any more. And my brother's anorexic and no one seems to care about the state he's in. And my sister's in the tub, she's a barmaid in the pub, and my mother's full of gin. Jeffrey's got a nice new suit, he bought it yesterday. £10 in an Oxfam shop near Hammersmith Way. All the kids admire him, Jeffrey is the face. Jeffrey is the kind of guy who always gets away with that sort of thing. Jeffrey shops at Safeways, he's got everything he wants. He fills up his pockets with baked beans and blancmange, and all the girls on the tail smile at Jeffrey. He's the kind of guy who gets away with that sort of thing. Just like Jeffrey.